some agents, they're okay if you're not pre-approved first meet. They're gonna do some rough math, right? You know what, let's do that. You're not pre-approved yet. We're gonna do our rough math too. And you're gonna make up all your numbers. I would suggest pre-approval because even our rough numbers, they're not gonna give us a great idea. But it will give us something. And your credit could be bad. You could actually be lying about some of your numbers because people tend to lie about how much they make or how much the debt they have. But if you get a credit check, it's going to tell you how much debt you actually have. If you send in some pay stubs and things like that. So get them pre-approved first. Okay. Are you ready? Okay, Tuck, welcome. Welcome to our buyer's presentation. I'm so glad you brought your whole family in with you to help you with this process. So let's jump in. My first question that I have for you is what questions do you have about buying a home?
What type of risks am I looking at?
This is the riskiest investment you can make.
Fair.
Like, like GameStop, we're kind of that level of risk right now. No, buying a home is not risky. Did you know on average, homes appreciate 5% a year, every year since the 70s? So you buy $100,000 house, the next year it should be worth 105,000 on average, right? These last few years, I think I just saw a stat. Do you guys know the real stat? It's like 3.9%. I think I just saw the other day that Utah went up in value. I'm making this one up, don't trust me. There's real stats on this that we can look up. And like in 2021, it was like 15-20% that it went up. Oh, good. Courtney made it in the perfect part. Tuck's our buyer. You guys are the
In
family.
the last 5 years, they've appreciated 16.8%.
16.8% in the last 5 years. Is that a nationwide stat or?
That's a nationwide stat.
Yeah, I think Utah's a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, and Utah has always been at the higher end of.
Here, let me show you how we can do that. In the MLS, under stats, I'm gonna click on rapid stats.
Yeah.
And it will open up something new. And then they have a whole bunch of stats. And maybe it's not gonna open. Anyway, you could click on stats here. So is home buying risky? Not really. Here's where it's a risk, Tuck. If you want to move in a year or two, then that might be risky because there's costs associated with buying and selling. And so if you buy, there's a little bit of a cost. If you sell, there's a cost. And then that way you might not have the appreciation you need to cover some of those costs if you move in a year or two. How long are you planning to stay?
I was hoping to stay in the home about 5 years.
Okay. 5 years, then you're perfect. Hey, Ritz, can you see my screen? Usually there's like a green box around everything.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, rapid stats not working, so we can't see our real stats. And I probably wouldn't do that at an appointment. There's too many things, that's the problem. Okay. So no, it's not risky. And let me walk you through the process real quick and why I can tell you why it's not risky to buy a home. So we're in the very first step. Sometimes I'll draw this out. Sometimes I actually have it on a piece of paper, but you don't need to have this. So we're in our first initial process where we're getting you pre-approved and we're starting this whole process of finding a house. We're going to define your criteria and what you're looking for in a home today, sign an agreement saying that I'm going to be your agent, and then we're going to go show homes. When you find a home that you like, we're going to put forth an offer. Put forth. I never said that before in my life. We will put forth an offer. We'll put an offer on it, which is just really a reservation. Like we are reserving this home. Once it's accepted, no one else can buy it, but we can decide whether we're actually going to move forward or not. It's kind of like at the dealership where they let you drive the car home for a day. You get to check out everything, see if it feels good. We're going to do a whole bunch of due diligence. We're going to have the seller tell us everything they know about the home that potentially could be right or wrong, fixes that they did, all of that. And then we'll do an appraisal as part of the loan process. Also make sure you qualify for the loan. So right now we're pre-approval. At the end, we'll get you fully approved. And throughout this whole process, if it's still the house for you, then we'll end up closing on it and you move in and it's your house as long as you want to own it and make your payments. Do you have any questions about the whole process? Everyone jump in. Anything that you might think people might say after that?
Yeah. So what does it mean if we sign an agreement that you're gonna be my agent? What does that entail?
Yeah.
Do I pay you? Cause I just read in this lawsuit that we don't pay buyer's agents anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up at the end. I'm still gonna bring it up at the end, but I'll, cause that's how my process works. You pay me, sort of. This is why it's confusing and why there was even a lawsuit is because it was kind of hidden how I get paid. But there's no secret. There's really like a handful of ways that I get paid. Number one, which is most common, is the agent that is selling the house has already worked out a commission and they are going to include that in the price. So I will get paid because of the other agent already working it. Whether that comes from the agent or comes from the seller, it's kind of the same thing to us because it's coming from the other side to me. So I'm paid just fine. The last way that we would ever look at it is you would actually have to pay me. And I'm a 3% agent. If that ever is the case, I could let you know like, hey, this house that we're looking at, you might have to come up with money. But I actually have a handful of things that I would do before that. Like we could include it we could get closing costs. We could ask lenders and everyone else to pitch in so that I don't work for free and I can get paid. But usually it's someone else paying me. Worst case scenario would be you. By the way, that's never happened to me before, which you can all say, right? You've never had a buyer pay you. So that's a real stat.
The real stat, it's true.
You are my first buyer, but I've never had anyone do it. Like, does that answer your question about the lawsuit
Yeah.
and how I get paid? Okay, and I'll show you more at the end, exactly what that looks like. Was that scary? Would have you freaked out about that answer?
No,
Would I have freaked out about the answer?
Yeah.
I have one bit of feedback for you.
Yes, I love
So-
feedback. Yes.
yes,
But you said something that makes it sound like it was your fault. You said it was kind of hidden how I get paid,
Oh,
but it's not. It was never hidden how you get paid.
Yep.
You always told your clients exactly what to expect.
it was other
But
agents.
those realtors were in the
Yep.
wrong.
Yeah,
And they did it wrong. And it.
I lumped
couldn't have been
myself
like
with them.
this. Yeah, you lumped yourself in with them.
yeah.
It wasn't you.
That is great feedback. Yeah, so I could have said, there was a lot of agents that tried to hide how they were getting paid. I'm very upfront about it.
Yeah.
Most of the times, the seller or the agent is going to pay me my 3%. My very last case scenario is that you pay me my commission. I'll let you know if we're even looking at a house that would be a conversation we would need to have. I have a handful of steps that I would take before I ever ask you for money.
well, there was, and one thing that I pointed out to people that have asked about the lawsuit too is like. There were states that didn't even require buyer brokers to have any type of agreement.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's crazy. I mean, you're buying your biggest investment of your life and you don't even have an agreement with the person who's helping you buy it. And so,
Yep, yeah. So if there's still like question, be like, by the way, nothing has changed in Utah. My whole career, the last 11 years, we have had to have this agreement signed.
yeah, I've always had an agreement. I bought my first house in 2005 and I had an agreement with my agent in 2005.
Yep,
You know,
it's, some states didn't have it,
no.
so. Okay, well, let's get into the home searching process and you can throw any more questions that you might think of here during it. So I've actually pulled up the MLS you can see here. This is utahrealestate.com. I highly suggest you either searching for homes on utahrealestate.com or I'm gonna send you my KW website that you can look for homes. They are basically the same. The biggest difference, utahrealestate.com is just from the agents, everything that they list. My KW website will include the entire nation, which is why it's kind of fun. And the cool thing is I can check in on the back on what you've been looking at. And so if you're ever like, I am looking at a house right now. I could literally go into my system and see which house you're looking at, so we don't have to have so much confusion. You can save things, you can favorite things, and I can see that. But UtahRealEstate.com is gonna be the most up-to-date, the most active of the homes for sale. Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com, all of those are great. They are all gonna pull directly from UtahRealEstate.com. They get a feed of all of this. So, Tuck, you did not get pre-approved for our example. So let's talk real quick. So ideally pre-approved. If they're not, this is how we're gonna figure out what you qualify for. And we're friends, so you don't have to disclose all of this information to me, but I also judging you for this. So here's how we're gonna do it, and you might need to write this down in math in your head. We're gonna take what you earn a month before taxes. Right, so if you made $120,000 a year and then had to pay taxes, you make $10,000 a month. And that'd be our example, by the way. Tuck, are you okay making 10 grand a month?
Would be more than okay with that.
Okay. So let's just imagine that you make $10,000 a month. Now, what loan product is somewhere between 40 and 50% debt to income. It's called DTI. And I'm giving you way more information than you need to know about this, because the lender should do all of this for you. The DTI, my safe number is 5%. So of what you make, 45% of it can be going to debt, including your new house. We're at 4,500 of debt. So now, let's minus out some things. Do you have a loan on your car?
Yes,
Okay, how much do you pay for that?
I pay $700 a month.
Okay, 700. Is that your only car payment?
Yes,
Okay, do you have any other, like student loans? Do you make student loan payments?
No.
Awesome. How about credit cards? Do you have any debt on credit cards? You say yes.
yes.
Do you know your minimum payment for that?
Yes, it would be great.
$73.
Say $73. I'm gonna round up to 100, just to make our math easier. And what else could he have payments of?
Cell
No, that's not
phone? No?
debt
Insurance?
payments. No,
Child support?
child support. Yep. Oh, yeah, when you used to be married, you had child support, right?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, $200, we're gonna make it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a-
That's low.
I just wanted to add to 1,000. So you have all of these debt payments, so basically we're at 3,500 right now. Right, because we're 4,000 minus all of your debt payments. So your house payment can be 3,500. Did I say 1,000?
Oh.
3,500.
Any judgments against him?
No, but I know Tuck, he's a good guy. So our payment has to be less than 3,500. So this is where it goes weird and we have to figure out what's a payment of 3,500. There's probably a better way to do this. We're just gonna do a mortgage calculator. Again, it's mortgagecalculator.org. Hold up when I tried to figure it out.
I think it's one on the command as well.
Yeah, mortgage calculator. So. Now Tuck, do you have money saved up as a down payment? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I have 20 grand saved up right
okay. So we know, well, let's start filling out some of this stuff. We have $20,000. Interest rate 4.5. Yes, please.
Yeah,
Let's say 6.75. Does anyone know actual rates today?
I didn't get a text today.
Yes.
It was 6.8.
It was 6.6 something.
But I've seen it go all the way down to 4.7.
What?
It's with a builder company, they have a mortgage, or have the lenders that work directly with them, so they can make a deal.
Yeah, but for this scenario, that would work the best.
Jake was saying 6.625 yesterday.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna do 6.75 because they've been all over the place. But did you see the inflation report? Things got better, so maybe rates will get better. I think that's why they went down yesterday. So let's just assume that we kind of run some fake numbers here. I got lucky in my guess that our mortgage payment, payment and insurance, PI, we're not doing the others, just this is 34.37.
How much was your cost? 650? I can't read that.
Yeah, I did 550. 550 is where we ended up.
Those numbers are very little.
So Tuck, I want you to talk to a lender to get real sure on this, but right now, I'm thinking we're gonna be in the 550 range for a house. So let's dive into that and see what you could do. By the way, you gotta skip this whole step if they talk to a lender. What did the lender approve you for? 550? Great, let's go find a house. So Doug, my view is gonna look a little different than you. You can still do some of these things in your side, it's just gonna look different. So we're gonna find a house up to 550. Is there any reason you would buy like an uber cheap house? Like move into Dave's listing, 200,000 kind of a thing, or are you probably gonna stay around?
I wanna go from 400.
Okay. So, tell me about your house. What would you like to see in it? Is it a house, townhome, condo? Single family? Okay, let's start there. Do you care if it's a Rambler, 2-story split? Okay, we'll leave that very open. Okay, let's start on the map. So, where do you want to live?
I've got family in Highland, I'd like to be able to be in that area.
Okay,
But I guess anywhere within 20 miles would be fine.
20 miles of Highland. Where do you work?
In Highland.
In Highland. Okay,
Got my-
love it. You own Purple mattress there in Highland. So, would you be okay going in Salt Lake County? That's where I live. So let's include the east side right now. We're gonna kind of cut it at West Jordan. We'll go pretty far west. What about like Saratoga, Eagle Mountain? Would you do that?
That is a little far from my family.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing too. Let's cut it at the river. How about that? And you'd probably go down to Orem. Would you go as deep as Provo?
No, I think Provo is a little congested. and so
Yeah.
I'd rather-
Yeah, I hate Provo too,
No,
even though I'm a BYU fan. Okay.
Your street's not congested.
Okay, boom, we have a whole bunch of options here. So far. So let's start putting some of your must-have things here. So lot size, beds, baths, what's important to you?
I must have 2 bedrooms.
Okay, tell me why. Why just 2?
I live on my own, but I would.
Okay.
I guess room for when I family visit.
Okay. Do you work from home very often?
I mostly do, yes.
Okay. Do you want a 3rd bedroom,
Why would I need a third?
like as an office?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, so that's like a maybe. If we can find a 2-bedroom, we're fine. 3 would probably be better.
Yeah.
Okay,
At 550, you're not gonna narrow the search down much, 2 to 3 bedrooms. Just saying.
so 86. So bathrooms, how many bathrooms you want?
I'll take 2.
You want a side of fries with that? I think we're doing it. 2 full baths. Okay, we're down to 51. Do you care how big it is?
I guess I'll take a little over 1,000 square feet, but I don't really.
Okay,
care.
I bet that's not gonna change us very much.
Yeah, you're thinking too small, man.
Yeah, let's go a little bit bigger, Tuck.
All
We
right,
still got out some
2,000
options.
square feet.
well, I was looking.
So let's
at
do-
some acreage, though.
So, okay, let's get
Okay.
some land. All right, where our acreage?
was
I
looking
think
for
I skipped past it.
3/4?
That'll thin it out.
Oh, I
Let's
want a
see.
Dog, I want to be able to have. run around.
We go big, we can't go too big. How about half acre? Nope.
Okay.
How about quarter acre? We're not looking good. Not looking good. Let's go back down to 2-bedroom. Okay. How about any sort of yard? Okay. Ooh, we're 0.15 still gets us 17 matches. Talk to me about garage,
I just got the one car.
the
so,
one car. Do you care if it's on in a carport, in a garage, in a whatever?
Honestly, not too much.
Okay.
Hoping by the time I make enough money to get a nice car, I'll get a new place.
Okay, let's do it. So we need a little bit of yard for a dog. What kind of dog do you have?
German Shepherd.
Oh, yeah, we need a bigger yard. Big yard, big dogs. How about a basement? Do you care about having a basement at all?
I did hear, a buddy of mine got a home basement, he rented it out.
Ooh. Let's throw all of these. That has a basement, so it maybe has the potential, maybe it's not finished, but that might be an additional thing that you could do later. Okay, we have 9 houses. Let's look at some of these. And you tell me what you think. By the way, this is legit what I'm doing. I am trying to find that he is going to buy. That is my whole goal with this. So, okay, I'm gonna start with the cheap. 465. So, this little yellow house.
That's an ADU.
Carlos, did we,
Yeah.
we looked at this, right? Yeah. This is real similar to yours. ADU, yes, so this one you could rent the basement out. Let's take a look at it. Before we dive too much into the details. Just look at the pictures. Call it out. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. My goodness. My computer.
Shane and the gun across.
Okay, we're gonna look at little pictures. Some nice bright yellow. Ooh, it's got 2-car garage. Yellow, yellow. Here we go. So this is a bedroom, it looks like. What is that
Very
door
nice.
to? This side?
That's probably the garage.
This looks like the basement, right?
Because those split levels, a lot of time the door goes right into the garage,
Yep,
or into the basement, I mean.
yep. Okay, looks like this is, you'd have a door here to divide it as an ADU. Bathroom, horrible picture. How you feeling about that? Could you live with that?
I love, not a big fan.
But look, this is where you say, this is actually kind of a good opportunity because they're not marketing this very well.
Yeah,
That's an advantage for you and the buyer to get a better deal.
yeah, look upstairs. It's not too bad. It looks like they have some decent floorings. Railing either is the original or they redid it and because now that's coming back. Little fireplace insert. Yeah.
That was like my second house, I had a split level just like that.
Little kitchen. I know I bought a house for like this, my first.
It's like, what's this year, like 85, 88,
78.
78, there you go.
78, we get. Yeah, so what's cool about this is having that second kitchen. It's 2 bedrooms up, 2 bedrooms down, so you could rent that. Let's see if they say anything about that.
It's close to UVU.
UVU, you'd probably rent that out real easy.
Yeah.
2 bedroom, what are you gonna get? 1,000?
No.
1,200? 12 to 1,400.
I guess I could help,
Yeah. So let's dream for a second, Tuck. So 465. Let's say we're 675, 30 years, our down payment. Let's just do 5%.
Too bad.
Calculate. So payments 2865. You add in taxes, insurance, things like that, you might be 32 on your high end. But then if we're getting 1,200, your payment's really $2,000.
So I'm not
As long
seeing
as it's
anything
rented.
below 1,400 in Forum for 2-bedroom.
If you're looking at a furnace, and this is the basement furnace, it's a little different. You gotta go on the low end of the cost.
And we could jump into this more and more and more. So how you feeling about this? Like if this was the house that you ultimately bought, like, could you see yourself living here?
I guess so. I'm not in love with it, but.
Yeah. Yeah, what don't you like about it?
Um,
Please say the yellow.
Yellow really is. And yellow, I wasn't the biggest fan of the basement.
Uh-huh,
It just seemed a little. In contrast to the upper area, it just wasn't quite, but I guess if I'm renting it out, it won't be as much. I did like the views and all the windows of all the open lighting. I'm also not a big fan of the placement of the yard.
hmm
That doesn't look like it's fenced in very well, and so I had trouble getting that going from the dog.
we missed something.
Hmm.
Good mention. Somewhere in here it says fence. How about? We need a fence for the dog. How about? Landscape. We want, nope. Hot facts. We want fully fenced. Down to 4. So. let's throw this grid view. So we have some more of these split level homes, which is gonna be a similar layout. To all of these,
Can I ask you a question?
yes,
So the considerations that Tuck just mentioned are pretty minor.
yeah,
It's a matter of paint mostly and putting up a fence.
mhm,
May not be a big deal. So can you ask for, could you say to your client, oh, these are things that are easily remedied. We could ask for concessions in our offer.
yep.
We were taking a look at this place.
Yep, I will definitely do that, like, because now that we're down to 4.
Yeah.
We have way fewer. The chances that he buys one of these 4, I mean, it's still potential. Right,
But you want to see.
but if we had 9, I'm not gonna show him 9 houses the first time we go see houses, I might show him 4. And so, if he's nitpicky about some of the things, like, great, let's throw those out right now. Keep them in our back pocket for later if we need to, but now we have these 4 properties. So, so let's look at this one, check out this backyard. What's your dog's name?
Good backyard.
Chewy.
Chewy. Is this real? Do you actually have a dog? Okay. Look at that. Do you think Chewy would like that?
Looks like a lot of fun, and that's fenced in.
It says it's fully fenced. Let's look at pictures. Built in 1977, 1,800 square feet. Got 2 bedrooms up, one in the basement. Please, 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 please.
My wife actually working way faster than yours.
I know. Must be because I'm on Zoom. So it looks like it's got 2-car garage. It's 1 level. So we're not that split level.
It's a decent amount.
Yeah. Nice little front room there.
And the staging will make it look even better for me as a potential buyer.
Yeah. Nice little kitchen there. Looks like some
I love
updated
the
appliances. Yeah. Oh, this bathroom's way better than that last one. Could you see yourself living here?
Yeah, I would have to do some arrangements with the bedroom. like
Yeah.
Feng shui,
Yeah, here you go. Throw your office downstairs.
and give me access to the rest of the room, the house too.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be able to rent this one out, and it is a little more expensive than that last one. So it's not an income property. There's nothing to say it couldn't be, right? You could always add a entrance later. Is that a deal breaker to not have an income?
No, it's not.
Okay,
I have a buddy of mine who's.
okay. Boom, let's put this down on one of the lists to go see. Yeah, 1/4 acre here. This might be one of the bigger yards on the list. So I kind of go through here and ask them, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, blah, blah, blah. Now, as things come up, I want to talk about them. So there's a few things that didn't come up that I want to mention always. So number 1 is new construction. Typically, in our price point that we set for you, Tuck, we're not gonna find new homes being built in these areas that we have. So that doesn't rule it out. When do you want to be in the house? like moved in?
I have a 4-month deadline.
Okay,
Because my current lease is expiring.
okay. If we found like the perfect house today, it's typically like a 30-day closing. Like, could you get out of that lease sooner?
It would be difficult, I'd have to pay because the way it's set up, I have to pay
Uh-huh,
to get out, but I can get out if I need to.
cool. So if we worked it in like concessions or something like that, we could probably use some of the money you have saved to go to pay that. If it's the right house, we're not gonna push you.
Yeah.
Now, let's say we don't find the house. And could you go month to month after this lease is up?
Unfortunately, no, I have to find someplace else. I have, as I mentioned, that family there, I might be able to.
To bunk up for a little bit?
They're not in the best position. My current landlord, which knows the lease ends, he wants to renovate and build on the new prop, on the prop.
Okay. So, scale of 1 to 10, how motivated do you think Tuck is?
I would say a 7.
What if you can't say 7? Cause 7 is kind of like that, that's pretty, but not
I would say 8.
8.
Honestly.
Cause he has a reason, it's a pretty good reason, like his timeline is set, but he has a backup plan. If he had no backup plan, or like, I don't know where I would live, we are selling him a house sooner rather than later. He's not waiting until the 4 months is up. Right now, if he's not finding what he wants. So the other thing, we want to create some sort of urgency. If you find the perfect house, that creates the urgency. So we can start to look at here as well. So Tuck, I also wanted to mention here, you'll notice that homes aren't staying on the market for terribly long. It's not like it was a couple years ago. Like this one, for example, has been on the market for 26 days. At 500,000, we can even see a history to see if it's ever lowered its price. 515, that's been on the market for 35 days. So we have about a month is what it's looking like for these active houses that are on the market
37 days
on average.
average market right now.
So the best houses are gonna go really fast. The homes that have been on the market like these, 30 days on average, we're like 25 to 31 on all of these. So these are probably gonna start getting offers right now. Or they might lower the price and become very attractive. So we don't wanna drag our feet with any of these. But we also don't need to like ditch out on work to go see houses or make an offer that's not there. I want you to be the only offer on a house, so we don't have to compete with other people and end up paying more. So my goal is to be fast to these things and be urgent, so we don't miss out on the house that you really want. Another thing that a lot of people have talked about that aren't very common in our market anymore are foreclosures and short sales. These are like, they call them distress sales. So people that didn't make their mortgage payments, if they're trying to work with the bank, they will do a short sale where they sell it for short of what they owe. But home price has been going up lately, so we don't have very many people that owe more than their house is worth when they try to sell. So there's not very many of those. The distress sale is they just stop making their payments and the bank foreclosed on them. And now it is being sold as a foreclosure. And we're not seeing a lot of those either because most people, again, could sell their house. And so they end up selling before it is foreclosed on. So we're not going to see any of those, but they might be out there. Some people are trying to get a good deal with those. To be honest, they're not much of a better deal than buying a normal house right now because everyone's looking at them. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you have heard of that we should have talked about? Neighborhood. Tell me more.
Well, I mentioned earlier, I don't want it to be too congested. And so, but I would still like to be able to have relatively ease of access to, stores, facilities like that.
Yes. Look at that. And this is something he said, and I didn't even pick up on it. That's why we asked for more questions. Ooh, so this one, that's the 1/4 acre that looks awesome. It is on 106 South. This is,
How far from the free? Oh, that's.
and it's pretty close to the freeway. So this one is going to be congested. So maybe, on your way home or whatever, you could drive by, see how this one feels. We don't even need to see it. If the area is the thing that's gonna deter you, let's not go. If we were to jump into something like this, let's see where this one is.
Pleasant Grove. so it's
Pleasant
way-
Grove.
Way less congested.
Yeah, yeah, it's real close to State Street here, just tucked in a little neighborhood.
Is that a park?
Yep, go.
Parks.
Got a Wills Park over here, high school, real close by.
You'd be able to find out if I could take my dog there.
Yep. So we could just Google Wills Park, see what it's like. We could even street view it, check it all out right there. Which is not a bad idea, like for something like this. If he's like, oh, I don't live up in Sandy, it's like, great, let's grab this address and literally just,
So that one with the great big backyard is sitting right on 106, huh?
yep.
Probably why it's cheaper.
Yep. So here it is. Oh, it is on 106th.
Yeah.
It's not even tucked in at all.
No, it's on it.
So you're looking 2-lane road on both sides.
I mean, it's a little ways from the freeway, so at least like all those like stores and stuff aren't right across the street from you. but-
Yeah, they did a good little turnaround spot for here, so you can get in and out of your house fairly easy, but it is gonna be busy right in front of it.
all
so-
of it.
Yeah, so you can pull them up like that, street view, whatever. So my goal is, I would not end this appointment at this point because we don't have a game plan for what's next. So we're missing two things at this point, and we could keep diving into this and as long as it takes. First, I want to find the houses that we're gonna look at. So like this one, I'd be like, Tuck, are you okay living on that main road?
I'm not the biggest fan.
Okay, let's keep this as a backup because it seems like it has the best yard. It's a decent house. So if everything else out there sucks, let's pop into this one later. Because you might get a better house for a better deal because it's on a main road. So let's just pretend that we're gonna see these other three. So great, we have these three houses set up. When are you available to go see them?
I can do most weekends.
Okay. Good news is 2 in American Fork, 1 in Pleasant Grove. We could probably bust this out in 2 hours. So, you thinking Saturday?
Yeah,
Okay,
probably do after 3.
perfect. Let's call it 3:30. I'll let you know which one to meet at. We can meet there, check it out, go to the next one. Sound like a great plan?
Would I be allowed to bring my dog?
I would say no for the initial walkthrough. If it is the house that we want, we can do a couple of things. We can either ask the sellers, can we bring the dog to make sure the dog's okay with it? Or we can make an offer, reserve it, and have it be contingent on the dog being okay with the house.
You can do that.
Sure. It's just due diligence. You wouldn't write anything special. You would just say in due diligence, like, just make sure you bring your dog by, and we would tell the sellers, like, we have a dog. We are very particular. Can the dog come by for a showing? And if they say no, then it's like, well, we may cancel because of this. Like, it is part of our due diligence. So you can do whatever you want. I've had people ask if they could sleep over in the house to see how it feels at night. Yes, we said no, but they wanted to sleep over to see how it feels. We're not running an Airbnb for you. You're not sleeping in our beds. No.
I'll at least try. Hey, let me just check this place out.
Right off, Brett, I love it.
The agent called us and he's like, I told them no. But can they sleep over in the house one night before due diligence is up? We're like, no. Like, okay, I did my job. I'm gonna tell them no. Yeah,
Agent, we have to ask that kind of stuff if we were to be asked.
you don't have to. You can say, look, man, this is a weird question. They're gonna say no.
Uh-huh.
But it's real easy to be like, let me ask the other agent. And even if the other agent says yes, you can be like, I'm still too weirded out about it because then they're your clients, like there's some sort of liability with that. I don't know what would happen if they mess something up in the house, but or- they lock all the doors, don't let the sellers back in. Like there's a lot of weird scenarios that could go on that I don't want to be a part of. So for my sake, I tell you no, but I might blame the other agent.
Let them do the back end.
Yeah, yeah, sellers say no. Okay, wait, oh, I gotta finish. So we have a time. So it's great. and I would have printed this out. But. I'll just pull it up here. KTEC, so to put me to work and for us to start getting to see homes. I have this document, it's called the exclusive right to sell. Basically, it just says that I am your agent. Oh. This is why I can't do two things at once. This means I'm gonna sell your house too. Gotcha. Came in for a house, I'm selling a house. I like that it says updated because that's how I find it now. So in this, it just says that I am your agent. I am going to represent you as your fiduciary. So basically, if it's not in your best interest, I am not going to do it. It is the big thing here. There's a couple of things that I wanted to point out here. Number one is it says that I'm going to be your agent. And by the way, I do this until December. Now you said you need to move in June. If you don't move, you might move in with the parent. You might have to rent a whole thing. If for whatever reason you decide you hate me as an agent or I hate you as a client, I have what I call an easy exit where we can fire each other at any point. So it's two ways. If I don't like you, I'm going to fire you. If you don't like me, you fire me. I'm okay with it. It's not weird. By the way, most people don't ever fire me and I don't fire most people, but I have done it and I have been fired. So it does happen. I just do it for the end of the year because then it's really easy. I don't have to think, ooh, can I not show Tuck houses anymore because we only signed an agreement for 17 days or something weird like that. So this just makes it easy on us. The other thing, like we mentioned earlier, is actually how I would bring this up is you were probably wondering how I get paid if we didn't have this conversation. So the way that I am paid is most likely it is the listing agent and the seller are going to pay me for bringing them a buyer. That is, it's on the MLS. This is how I used to say it, but it's not going to be anymore. So I've already worked that out with them in most cases. Now, if that doesn't happen, there's a handful of steps that we would take. And then the very last idea, it would be, you would actually have to pay me yourself. Now that's never happened to me before. And like I said, there's 10 or 15 other things that I can do before that. But so that's what this 3% is. Now there are some houses that are offering less than 3%. I'm okay with most of them. If it's way too low and it doesn't make sense for me financially, then I'll let you know. And that's one of those houses that we'll have to come up with a creative way to have the sellers, the agent, or another way pay me before I ask you of money. So I'll let you know if that happens in any of them. Sound good? Yeah. And like I said, I'm your fiduciary. I'm looking out for you. I just need to make money or I can't keep doing this. I have mouths to feed and everything. So I'm going to make sure it makes sense for you and that I also get paid. But like I said, most time it's just the listing agent and the seller paying me. Also, if you ever fire me or whatever, any of the houses you buy, I'm still protected. So that's why I feel good about being fired. So you can't cut me out of a deal. So sign here and I will be your agent and you'll put me to work. You ready?
Awesome.
Okay, what questions, what objections, what anything do you have?
Okay, so what if he does fire you,
Yes.
then he goes and buys a house that you showed him,
Uh-huh.
and now you're gonna go and fight for your commission on that house that he bought?
Yep, I would go to Dean and I would say, Dean, I have this agreement. He fired me. We let them out of this agreement. I still have this protection period. I showed him this home. You can see it's in my calendar. We took a selfie in front of the house, whatever.
On the line showing.
It's on a line showing. That's probably the best one. And so you can see, I obviously showed him the house. It's obviously under this protection period. We need to go to this other brokerage and tell them that they owe us money.
Like.
Yes.
And so what about the agent that actually helped him buy that house? What happens to that agent?
They, in theory, get nothing.
Really?
Yes.
That would suck.
Yeah. What I usually do in most cases is like, hey man, I actually showed this house to him and then he had you represent him. I'm not a dick. Let's just split this commission. Because I could come and say, I have the agreement. I showed him the house. I get 100%. And I can do that after they close. like after the agent's gotten money, after they have spent it, after their splits and everything and make their life difficult, in theory, I still can come and get that money. But so if you know that it's happening, then you can say, hey, why don't we just split this? Or why don't you pay me a referral fee or something?
Too.
Yeah,
So how far out can you do that? Let's say you.
I don't know, does it say in here?
They did that, and it's been a month
I,
or two.
yeah, I think it says in here, there's like a 6 months is what I wanna say, or it might be fillable.
It's fillable.
Wasn't
It
it-
says anything
Well,
that
so-
you Fill in.
Yeah, so after, so 3 months is what, I do 6 a lot of the times. I've seen a lot of agents do 3 lately, so I'm questioning myself, but I don't know.
You know.
Yeah, after the termination or expiration of this agreement, buyer or any person acting on behalf of the buyer enters an agreement to purchase, exchange, blah, blah, blah. During the initial term, the buyer agrees to pay the company the brokerage fee. So it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't seem to say when it stops.
And it normally is 3 months or 6 months, not like.
You can do whatever you want in this. You could say 100 years and it doesn't matter.
During the whole year.
Yeah.
Remaining.
Um,
Well, really, it wouldn't matter because it's one that you showed them, so.
Yeah.
Even if it's 6 months later, if you show them the house.
But you
Yeah.
can't do a thing that.
Well, like, is there a protection period for this? Like there is for a listing agreement?
yeah, yeah, so but then what happens,
Yeah, but if the
If they
protection period
close-
lapses,
then they could, right? So yeah, if I put 3 months, I show Tuck one of these houses. And he's like, nah, it's not for me, and then he fires me. And then 3 months and a day later, he goes and sees that same house and writes an offer. I have no protection, yeah, that's what, like 6 months, the chances that you buy the house in 6 months, if you fire me, 0, right?
hey,
Have to do it to be that.
when you, so like you were saying, you used to be on the MLS, it's no longer on the MLS.
Yes,
Do you, as an agent, want to find out before you show a house, so you can let your buyer know?
yep.
You're gonna have to call us, what I've heard.
Cause right now, it's really easy, as you're sending them houses, you can say, hey, by the way, this one has a low. Commission, so we need to run through our few different ideas, and potentially it could be one that you might have to come up with a little bit of cash at closing to pay me. Do you still want to see it? And if they say yes, then you go.
Unless you
And
write it in the
now,
doc.
you won't know upfront anymore, so then you.
You'll
don't
have to
that
call,
discussion.
yep,
Well,
you'll have,
That's what we're saying too.
You're gonna
though,
have to-
you could call the agent and find out.
I wonder if there's gonna be some little website that pops up that lists out every MLS, and it can't be owned by the MLS or the UCAR type organization. So I could build out a website, my own website, and I'd say, hey, you can search commissions for any property here.
Yeah.
And people can literally put it there, and if I become that
It's a
website,
pain for the listing agent to have everyone calling them just to find out if they're gonna get paid, and
Yep.
you know, like, so much more.
That is a pain. You almost wanna like find a way to sneak it into your listing, but they're telling us don't do that.
don't do that. Yeah, so it's just gonna make us another hoop to jump through, and I hope that they have some easier solution or some sort of settlement.
So
Because,
Shouldn't you just get in the habit of writing it into your offers then?
Yeah, but you wanna know beforehand, so you can discuss it with your client.
Yeah.
Because that could really.
Cause that changes what they offer.
yeah, because if there's not 3%, let's say they say 0, we're not paying a buyer's agent. Then you might have to offer 3% above so you can get commission, which is weird.
How does that work though? Like, how can you figure out? It's. I don't know, like.
Cause each listing you're gonna find is gonna be separate and.
Each says like 2.5 or 3.
Yeah, and so you can decide at what point you will go after your clients for any amount of money. Right, so if you have, let's say you sign it, the agreement and says 3%, and then you go show a house that's 1.5%. Are you okay getting 1.5%? If the answer is yes, then you just don't do anything. You don't go after them for any money. If you're like, I need at least 2% to make my money back because I showed them 50 houses, then you can say like, hey, this is one of those that you're gonna have to pay me a little extra. I'll actually come down from my 3% to a 2%, so you need to come up with 0.5% to give to me at closing. So let's offer a 0.5% higher than we would have and include that in it. Let me negotiate with the agent to try to steal some of his commission. Let's ask the lender if he can, I don't know if the lender can.
So you will come in and tell them my commission will be 3%, but we find something that's less than that, we can work, I will work on them with that.
Yep.
And see what we can do.
Yep, we'll start there. Yeah, start with other people and make your buyer's money the very last. Actually, the very last is your money. Because you could waive your commission as the last ditch effort. Right, because let's be honest, if you've shown them 50 houses and you're at a 1.5% commission and you're like, I need 2. So like, what's 0.5% of like a $500,000 house? $2,500. So would you rather fight over $2,500 or just say, screw it and get this person out of my life and I won't have to show them houses anymore? So it might be like one of those things. It's like you ask from everyone, you ask from the buyer, and then the last case scenario is like, fine, I'm 1.5. Screw this.
Can I ask you? a
Yes.
question?
Yes,
So I've heard different responses to this. You can think about it both ways. The seller is paying the buyer's agent, but also the buyer is paying the buyer's agent because they're paying it in the price of the house.
yes.
So how do you explain that to people? Do you say this is coming from the seller?
Yeah, I think it is coming from the seller and the buyer is paying for it. So it's kind of both.
Yeah.
Because the seller has agreed that the final price they will pay, like, let's just say 6%. But if a buyer comes without an agent, that agent might say, I'm keeping the full 6%, or they might say, oh, they don't have a buyer's agent, let's go down to 3%. And both of those are very real. But the appraisal has already built in that to pay a buyer's agent and a listing agent as part of the process. Because it's built into the price. Yep,
The way that I like to explain it is I like to say that it doesn't matter how you think of it. If you think of the seller paying the commission or the buyer paying the commission, but the commission's budgeted in the sale price, where it always has been in the past. Like, whenever I've sold a home in the past, I've always gone, okay, this is how much I want to net off this house. This is how much commissions are gonna be. This is how much closing costs are gonna be. So this is where I want to list the house at. So I always want to say that, commissions are budgeted in the sale price of the house. And if
yeah, a bad example of this is taxes, right? You go to a gas station and it's like, I don't even know what gas costs right now. Is that $4 and 9/10 of a cent? Well, a gas station is not charging that 9/10 of a cent. The government is. That is the tax on gas. So they have to add in that extra. So they're saying the final price. But if you go to a gas pump, it literally lists out all of the taxes that you were paying. So it's like, is the gas station paying that tax? Are we paying that tax? Like, who is paying that?
But if you think about it
Yes.
that way too, if you went underrepresented, it's already built into the price, and maybe they would take a lower offer, but if they don't, then it's the same as it would have been either way.
Yeah, like I often get people that will ask me, if I'm gonna go buy new construction, but I don't have a buyer's agent, can I ask for that 3%? And the chances are no. Because think like a builder, you're selling an entire neighborhood and you're like, this one sold for 700, this one sold for 700, and this one sold for 3% less than those. Like, you just set a new comp that you're screwing the rest of your neighborhood. So everyone's gonna be like, why did that one sell for 3% less than everyone else?
But they might be willing to give you 3%.
Yeah, they might be able to do something else.
But what's interesting, so I had some unrepresented buyers call on my listing and I said, the seller would really prefer to work with, so it can be represented. And it's gonna be a transaction, and they're like, people like that we're unrepresented because it means that the seller can get more.
Yeah,
Which I thought
That's
was an
what-
interesting take, because they're not asking for a discount. And they're not saying that the agent's gonna get it, but I bet a lot of times the agent is going to get it. And so they're not actually strengthening their.
yeah, my philosophy, which I don't always live by, is if it's an unrepresented buyer, then I want to do 4.5%. Because you, as the listing agent, are still going to walk that buyer through everything. and make sure they're moving forward. So I want to collect some sort of money because I'm gonna have to put a lot of effort into that.
That's one more question.
Yes, ask all you want.
So Janet Hyatt and Heather Brewer have both said things that make me wonder, like, is there a way to not be a dual agent, but be able to keep the full commission? Because like Cameron was saying, I'm gonna work hard to find unrepresented buyers.
You haven't signed an unrepresented buyer document.
And but
Yes.
who's guiding them through the process?
You are and no one. So you signed the agreement saying, I do not represent you. And then you are going to guide them through the whole process.
Giving them advice,
you're just
You're gonna
telling
send
them,
them
say
the
this.
You're gonna say,
Yeah.
here's
This
the
is what you fill
form.
out, but you don't tell them you should.
Yeah, like after the inspection, you're not supposed to say, it's very typical for people to ask for repairs or negotiate right now, because now you just learned all of these things about the house. You say, hey, good job finishing your inspection. How's the financing coming? So if they know that a lot of times you negotiate, then you're gonna get into negotiations with them.
Are you more likely though, because this buyer's unrepresented, are you more likely to call our escrow? When they're.
Potentially.
So is that where the clients needs first?
Depends on what if they had an approval letter and you talked to the lender and the lender said, yeah, they're great, they're good to go. I wouldn't worry about it, but you
And-
would definitely want to do your due diligence on.
Do they even know that they can cancel?
All the reasons why we tell our buyer clients that there's value in having an agent, right?
Yeah.
One of those reasons is it makes a smooth transaction. So, like, are we really putting our clients' needs first if we are courting unrepresented buyers to buy
No.
this?
I think the best buyers have a great agent.
Yeah.
Because a good agent is going to help you get it to the finish line. Right, and my favorite agents are like the win-win kind of people, like, hey, we had all these problems. What if we did all of these little things, so your sellers don't have to fix everything, but then my buyers are okay with it, your sellers are okay with it, and we have a win-win solution.
So this is interesting, and I'm sure that the agents I mentioned are finding a way to do this well, because they're both really ethical and great people, and I know that they would put their clients' needs first, but I'm just wondering, maybe I need to ask.
Well, you can also have that discussion with your client, like, hey, this might be a little bit harder, but we do have more potential of keeping money. Is that worth it to you, or do you want to take it? You know, it's up to them if they want to take that offer.
I don't think the seller is keeping money, I think the agent is keeping money. 'Cause
Yeah, a
the
lot of
agent-
agents.
Yeah. you'll get
the
money.
agent-
Because
I'm charging you 6%, and I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, share that commission with the buyer's agent.
yeah, if you look at how it's written, that's exactly what it says, like 6% listing, I will pay 3% to a buyer's agent. If there's not a buyer's agent, you don't have to pay that. So then you keep all 6. But that's usually where I'm like, live 4.5.
And I think like once you get through so many transactions like those people that you mentioned, I think you've got a feel for how the transaction is gonna flow. You know the process well enough that you're not necessarily scared, and as long as you do your due diligence of checking up on the buyer, making sure the finance is there, making sure everything's in close, I think you're serving your client. I really do.
You're just gonna have more work, which is why I don't think you should just
Which is why
discount to 3.
It's gonna be more work for me, but I'm gonna,
Gonna do it because it's working.
Yeah.
Because it's 3% more, and so you double.
And there's so many scenarios where it would make sense, right? Let's say you've been on the market for 100 days, hardly had any showings, and then you get an offer from an unrepresented, or someone calls you like, I'm making an offer, I don't have an agent, I don't know how to do this. Like, and you have to discount to make it all work, like, that might be worth it, because
And that's
it's been
great.
on the market,
Definitely
yeah.
Serving your client because you're having no offers and you're like, let's make this deal work.
You have 7 offers the first weekend, I don't think it makes sense.
I have this buyer, I'll take
Yep.
a 75% referral because they're ready to write an offer, and all you have to do is guide them through the process.
Yeah, you could also say, hey, Dave, I'll pay you 1% to do that. Which is why when you are doing a listing, just makes me think about mine. So in here in the listing,
I would
Fine,
like
let's
to
just
see
see
a
it.
listing class, like where we actually list something.
So if you haven't, this is what Jeanette will fill out for you.
Yeah.
Or you could fill it all out. There's one question in here. That says. Where is it? Dual or VAR rate? So she said no. So, does it tell us exactly what this means? Commission is one which the seller agrees to pay a specific commission to the property by sole listing agreement. No, this. So this is, can you change your rate? Do you have a different rate for a different scenario? It's like in this scenario where you're like, hey, Dave, do 1%. I'll do 3%. The sellers will save 2% because I already have a buyer ready to make an offer. You just have to represent them through closing. Like Dave would say, yeah, because he's gonna make 1% for just doing the under contract. Your sellers save 2%, so get paid the same. So that's all. So technically that would be a dual rate because you're doing something different. But so that's where the Dave's offer would have to lower the commission. To make that make sense.
And I don't know if Heather does that, she just said, like when we were doing her open house, if you get any leads, Heather will work with the leads. But she'll give you a 25% referral. So she may not work with them on that particular house, but maybe on others instead.
Yeah.
Heather wants the leads from the open houses, huh?
But she gets you, she pays you to do the open house and then she gives you a referral fee. And at this point, I'm like, would I rather have Heather pursue this lead and probably have that closing and get 25%, or me pursue this lead forever?
Oh, you're discounting
Interesting,
yourself. Courtney.
interesting.
Come on.
Sidetrack.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah,
When you going back to, when you said that you can ask the seller, if the commission says 1.5 and you want 2. So do you write that in the contract?
yeah, you can. I don't think Dean likes that, but I have definitely done that.
Just as an addendum.
Yep. Yeah, because it gets kind of messy. And this is why Dean doesn't like it, because technically you have an agreement with the seller as the listing agent, right? You as a listing agent, you have an agreement with the seller that you are gonna pay so much to a buyer's agent. So the offer doesn't really address that. Because you're offering on the home and there's nothing to do with commission in there. Cause it's the listing agent and the seller that have the agreement that they are gonna pay a buyer's agent. So me as the buyer's agent can now go say, I want more commission from you, but that has nothing to do with my buyer.
Right.
So technically the answer is no, but if you do it, then it's actually a really clean, easy way because then everyone gets to see everything. But I think it's the wrong way, but it works.
Well, how else would you do it?
Technically, you're supposed to send over escrow instructions saying that your commission is X% or X dollars. The problem is they could say no to your escrow instructions and yes to the offer, and now you're under contract. And you're like, well, they said no to raising my commission, so no. But if it's in the contract, then if they accept it, technically they've accepted to pay you. So it seems cleaner and easier, but it's also wrong. So,
It's been done, like,
but it's been done. Yeah, everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows. So it kind of solves the solution just in the wrong way.
Yes, because you're supposed to be doing to your client's best interest.
Yeah.
The client being the buyer.
Yeah.
But if you're.
But you need to get paid.
If you need to get paid.
well,
Yeah. Yeah.
what happens if, you do that and then
Probably just not from.
your clients are like really interested in that home, but you wanna get paid a little bit more, cause that's kinda like what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
And then they decline it. And then you don't really get to, what are you doing?
Yeah, so you could literally go to the buyers and say, hey, look, I'm not getting paid enough on this to make all of the work worth it first in showing you and getting you to this point and now getting you all the way to the closing table. So I'm gonna need you to come up with X number of dollars at closing, just to make it my bare minimum.
Oh. Okay, so it's talking-
Yeah, so
just make it for
yeah.
that.
So that's why I always mention in the buyer's appointment, 9 times out of 10, I'm getting the money just straight from the listing agent seller, however you want to define that, because it comes from the seller's brokerage to us, but the seller is paying it to that seller's brokerage. So whoever is actually paying that money will pay me. If that doesn't happen, we might need to include it in the offer. We might need to get some concessions that pay for some of it. There's a bunch of different ways we can try to do it. And then my last way is to ask you. And then your absolute last way is to not get paid as much, where you take the hit. Okay. Go have buyer appointments.
Right.
Yes. Talk to people, try to meet with them.
Yes.
Wow. With little signing where you show houses, you know?
Yeah. And if someone calls you and like, I want to see this house, I don't think it's a bad thing to say, great, let's meet in my office. And if they're like, no, I just want to see this one house. It's like, no, that's fine. I know you want to see this one house, but if that house doesn't work out, I need to have a game plan in place. If that one house works out, like we agreement signed, we need a plan to how to move forward. I need to explain things to you about what I do, what I don't do, how I get paid. Like there's so much that we do. Let's do this. And my job is to best represent you. If you see one house not as good as another house that I know is on the market or that we find that's on the market, am I doing the best thing for you?
Well, we're gonna have to have an agreement signed before we can show homes in what, like 2 months?
Yeah,
So.
it's August, I think, is what they
Oh,
just
they
changed.
changed. They
Yeah.
extended the month or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get in the habit of, is just saying, look, we have to have an agreement to be able to show homes. That's the new rule that's coming.
Yep.
And so,
We could do it a bunch of different ways. I can sign one agreement with you for this one house that I'm going to show you. If you like it, we'll write the offer. Great, and it's awesome. And I'd call that a one-hit wonder. Most of the time that doesn't happen, hence me calling it a one-hit wonder. So if that doesn't happen, like, why don't we meet, have a game plan in place, see a couple of houses, and we can have an agreement for all of them. Then if you don't like me, you fire me. If I don't like you, I fire you. We can break up at any point. We're not getting married, we're dating.